Welcome everyone to another episode of Soul to Soul Connections with Jeni Ji. That's right, I'm back up here. My podcast is back going. I took a break from it for a little while, but it's ongoing now. So, in order to tune in, make sure that you're signed up. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and my podcast. I'm all over social media. Just Google me, or else I'd be going on for hours about it. Now, you're going to find the links below the video after I speak to my guest here. Now, also, if you feel you have an inspiring story or a story that you'd like to share with me, by all means, reach out. The best way to get in contact with me is just go through my website, soulworkwithjenij.com, and send me a message and let me know your story, or you want to talk to me about an experience or something, and then I'll get in touch with you. So if you do want to book a clairvoyant psychic reading, by all means, book it through my website, because sometimes you can send a message on social media, and sometimes social media, it hides messages, so we don't always get certain messages coming through. You can follow me on Instagram, Jeni Ji Cousins, Facebook. I'm all over there. So I'm not going to go on and on about that. So now I have a very special guest today. I could talk to him for hours and hours and hours. We already were talking for a little while. And Joshua Damours, he's going to share his story. He has had a near-death experience, and I love talking about near-death experiences. For those of you who know, I've had several myself. So please welcome Joshua, and thank you, Joshua. I am so grateful to have you here to be able to share your story with everyone.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here with you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So now Joshua's very interesting. You're going to hear about what his experience was. He had surgery, and this is when his near-death experience happened. So, Joshua, I know that you had a near-death experience, of course, and it was connected with a gallbladder. Can you share with us like what happened? Like, how did that lead up to you going for surgery?
Of course, so about 9 months prior to my surgery, I had started having a bunch of pain in my upper abdomen region. And at first, I thought it was just, bad heartburn or, indigestion. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said the same thing. They thought maybe it's just, heartburn. And then they also thought that perhaps it could be an ulcer. So uh, anyway, so I went home and I actually kept seeing several doctors, and I finally saw a specialist, and he wanted to schedule me for an appointment to get the camera that goes down your throat, and he wanted to look down my throat to see if I had an ulcer or to see if there was anything else wrong with me. The only problem with that is that the procedure was scheduled. The only way I can the procedure was actually scheduled about like several months ahead of me, which in my situation I couldn't wait that long. But I went home and I was basically stuck waiting for that appointment. But in between all that, the pain kept getting worse and worse and worse. I would go back to the at some point I went to the ER, and I think I went to the ER a couple times, and they would just give me morphine and send me home. But anyway, so what happened was right up on Christmas Day, actually, it was early Christmas morning, is when the pain came, and the pains didn't go away this time. It just stayed. And the pain was just this gnawing, burning, just very painful. I can't even describe it. It's just so painful. So because the pain wouldn't go away, I actually ended up going to the to I went back to the ER, and they did a couple more tests, and then that's when they found out that I had my gallbladder was infected. There was gallstones, and it was also leaking pus into my system. So I actually had to have basically they told me that we need to rush you into surgery, but they of course, that was a few hours away. They had to first control the infection, and then they were going to rush me to surgery. So that's basically what led up to my near death experiences happened when I actually, went into surgery.
Did you like before, um, like, your near death started, like even when you were like your gallbladder and that, did you feel that like something was off? We can kind of tell sometimes we were sick, but did you kind of feel like, something's really, really off?
Yes, I did. The entire time I felt like something was off. And my gut, my intuitive side, which I should have listened to, my gut told me that my gut basically told me that it's serious. And I don't know what the other side of me kept saying. It's like the devil and the angel on each side of your shoulder.
Yeah.
The other side that kept saying that no, it's okay, it's not that bad. But yes. I did have that experience, and I didn't listen. I really wish I would have listened to it sooner, because I could have actually maybe taken care of it sooner, and it wouldn't have led up to this part, to this what do you call it? It wouldn't have led up
Experience.
to this experience. Yeah, thank you. To where it was infected. So yes, I did have that.
Mhm. So when you were like on the operating table, and obviously they're putting you under, and count, the mask is on and such. Did you feel like what did you start to sense or feel like during that
Oh,
time?
I was so during that time I was crying. I would when they wheeled me into the operating room, the bed, something about the bed struck a nerve with, not a nerve, but it was something about the shape of the bed that that got me crying, because the shape of the bed, the surgical bed, whatever, it's in the shape of a cross. I don't know if you've ever
Wow.
had surgery before, but
Yeah.
it was basically like the shape of a cross, the bed. So they lay you on the bed, you put your arms out, and and it makes sense now because they need to have access to you. They
Yeah.
need to be able to have it be easier.
Yeah.
But no, I would, at that point I was crying, and the nurse, who injected the whatever it is that makes you go
Yeah.
to sleep, and she put a mask over my face, and she said, "Don't worry, honey, it's gonna be okay." And because she could see I was crying, so no, I didn't feel like, it wasn't spiritual at that point, or it wasn't like I was feeling God there. I was just afraid, and I was terrified, and and I was just like hoping, okay, I hope I make it through this, I hope I'll wake up, so that no, it was definitely terrifying for me at that stage, it
Yeah.
eventually gets better, but it was terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any type of surgery is, I don't like doctors, nobody likes
Yeah,
to go to the hospital, right? But
of course.
you know, I get it, right? But you
Right.
don't know, so whenever you started to go under, the anesthetic, right? Anesthesia or whatever, I can't pronounce it, but
Right.
did you, is that when you got like lightheaded, or what happened that started you to leave your body?
Yeah, so she told me to count down from 10 to 1. So I said 10, and when I said this 10, I felt a little bit of sleepiness, and then I said 9, and I was getting more sleepy, and then I said 8, and I was getting really, really sleepy. Like the world was kind of basically falling apart and just closing in, just collapsing. And I never actually made it to 7, because once I said 8, then I was in complete darkness and I was awake. I wasn't feeling anything, because some people have asked me in the past, were you actually awake, and did you actually feel the surgery, like them actually operating on you? Of course, no, I didn't. I was just in this dark space, but I was awake, and my conscious was still there. I was very much awake, very much aware. But I was a little bit confused at this point, because I was in this darkness, and it wasn't like terrifying. It was just like, okay, what's next? You know? Um, and so yeah, and then that's, of course, that's when I saw the light coming towards me. And I don't know if you want me to talk about that yet, but um, that's when I saw a light. It started out as a small speck of light, white
Okay.
light.
Yeah.
Much like your background is, I love your background, because it's like I said to you earlier, that looks familiar, and I
Yeah.
cracked up. But yeah, did you want to go more into detail about the light?
Yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course, yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that, because a lot of people, they're like, did you see the light first? Like, the
Yeah.
tunnel. And so
Right.
when
So
you saw the spectrum, what happened after that?
yeah, so the light it kept coming towards me, and it was growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And before I knew it, it was just this gigantic tunnel. I mean, huge tunnel of light. I mean, it was like the tunnel of light behind
Yeah,
you was just huge. And it rested right in front of me,
yeah.
and it was this beautiful, 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 just white light. And but there was something that told me not to, I wasn't allowed to go into the tunnel yet, even though it was sitting there and it was waiting for me. It was beckoning me, but it also knew that before I could go into the tunnel, there was something else that I had to experience.
Okay. So what
And
did, yeah.
go ahead.
So what did you experience before like going into the tunnel?
So before I went into the tunnel, I actually noticed there were three beings of light or light beings around me. So there was one on my right side, one on my left, and one behind me. And this is what's strange is because I had never, in my throughout my life, I had never heard of light beings. I didn't know who they were. I've never heard of them. And if I would have heard of them, I would have studied them obviously, but I never knew that they existed until this experience. So what's really, really profound and really amazing is that even though these beings of light, I knew who they were basically. I knew exactly who they were, which didn't make any sense to me in my waking life, but in my near-death experience, they were there. And before the tunnel, before they allowed me to enter the tunnel, I had to first basically I saw a mass crowd of people walking into the tunnel of light, and they weren't necessarily walking, they were actually not running, but they were walking at a very fast pace, like fast-paced walking, and they were walking with urgency. Like I got to get into the light. Like all of them knew where to go. And these people, I didn't know exactly at first. I didn't know who these people were because they were all dressed differently. There were people dressed as firefighters. There were people dressed as in office clothes. There were people in the street clothes, and there were all kinds of people, all kinds of races of people. And it hit me, and I knew exactly who these people were, and it makes sense now. Of course, it didn't make sense then, but these people were actually the people who died on 9/11 in the Twin
Wow.
Towers on September 11th, 2001. And of course, I have a special connection with 9/11, and that's because when the day that 9/11 happened, I was actually flying on an airplane. I was actually up in the air when the other airplanes hit the towers. And I felt so grateful that when we got grounded, when they grounded us, I felt so grateful that I wasn't a victim of that. But I had always wondered, because we saw on TV, these people, they had these terrible deaths, and that I won't sugarcoat it. These people died terribly. It was very traumatic. You saw people jumping out their windows. But I believe that I saw these people I witnessed this because the beings of light, they wanted me to when I would be sent back, they wanted me to tell this story to people,
Yes. Yes.
and they, in hopes that it would heal people who are really hurting.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want me to keep going, but if you do, you want me to keep
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Okay.
9/11, like 9/11 for me, I lost somebody too in the towers. Your
I'm sorry.
experience,
I'm sorry.
your experience actually, because if you take a look at it, of all days, you were on the plane, like on 9/11. Did
Yes.
like the did you get like notification by like the captain about like what's going on or like anything like
Yes.
that?
Yeah, so what happened was, so I was on the runway. I landed in Seattle, and the twin tower, the two airplanes had already struck the towers, but they hadn't grounded the planes yet. But I was actually in Seattle, and we boarded the plane, and we're actually on the runway. We taxied out to the runway, and we're at, when you when the plane starts, the engines start running, getting louder and louder because you know that you're about to
Yeah.
thrust forward. Um, the engine started getting louder and louder, and then suddenly they stopped. And then the captain got on the overhead intercom, and he said, I'm sorry to inform you, but there's been we're getting word that there's been a terrorist attack in New York City, and we have to, the FAA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the FAA is grounding all airplanes, so we're gonna taxi back and let you off, and you're gonna have to leave the airport. And so while we were taxiing back, I'm stunned. I'm like, wait, what? And but while we're taxiing back, I actually overheard people on their phone. I didn't have a phone with me at that time, but I overheard people on their phones saying some of it some of it wasn't true, obviously, but some people were saying, "Oh, the Pentagon is gone," and I was like, "What? The Pentagon is gone?" And then I heard other people saying, the Twin Towers were hit by a plane, and overhearing people just saying this on the phone was actually really really shocking to me, and it was a really
Yeah.
shocking experience. And so we taxied back. They let us off, and they kicked us out of the airport, and so that was just really like that was really traumatic. And so I actually didn't know. I still didn't know about the towers until my mother she found some people who live in Seattle, some friends, and she actually arranged for me to go stay with them. And so once they opened the door to their home and I walked in and the television was on and I could see the Twin Towers burning. And then I knew exactly what had happened, and then it showed the Twin Towers falling. So that was my experience. It was very shocking and it was just really like unsettling.
And I mean, who knows? Like maybe there was somebody on your plane that could have made your plane go down as well. You,
I thought
you
about
know,
that.
like things like that, happen delays, so sometimes we get these pre-signs of something extraordinarily more is coming. 9/11 was extraordinary, like
Yeah.
beyond words, of course, but especially for you of all days to be on a 9/11 plane. You know
It
what I
was
mean?
yeah, it was very it was very I can't even describe like what the I felt um so lucky, so blessed that I wasn't on one of those planes. But I felt at the same time I felt terrible, like almost like survivor's guilt.
Yeah,
I felt terrible for the people who died, and I felt terrible for the people like you who lost somebody. That just I just couldn't fathom, what that would feel like, and knowing that, you know, but one of the important things about my experience, so that I think it's important to say is that as far as the 9/11 and seeing all these souls, these beautiful people, walking into the light, or one thing I could say is that, even though they may have experienced pain, when it happened, and that's unfortunate, but I do know now that because of my near-death experience, I do know now that these people, they're not in pain anymore. They're at peace. They actually they were very welcoming to the light, and they're at peace now. They're not hurting, and so their actual transition to the afterlife, to the other side, was actually very peaceful, and they wanted to go towards that light. They were actually really very anxious and eager. I could feel that. I don't understand that those feelings quite yet, but that
yeah,
was my
because it's not your
impression.
time yet.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But like when you saw the people, like, did it show burn marks on their faces at all, or just like a normal person without any injuries type
No,
thing?
no, no, there were no injuries. And I don't bet, but I don't know how to describe it, but no, they were okay. And I think the reason
Yeah,
why they didn't show me their injuries was because they wanted to show me, hey, we're okay now. We're
yeah,
past that,
100%.
and maybe I would have been too scared to see the
Yeah,
injuries. Maybe it would have been too shocking. Maybe that's why. Maybe they were trying to protect me.
yeah. Oh no, of course, you're being shown something very, very profound of when you pass
Hmm.
over, you know, not to be scared, that you're going to be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not so it's yeah, it's not scary. It's they weren't scared. It's okay. And I know it's not a matter of belief. I just know that crossing over is not a scary thing. It's I think it's better than it's just the most beautiful thing. It's the most beautiful experience. Is
Yeah.
all I can say. And
Yeah.
I wish that everyone could experience that.
Yeah.
Not experience dying, of course, but I wish
Yeah.
people could actually experience the what people like you and me went through.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when you saw these light beams, did they say anything to you at all? Like did they give you a message or just kind of let you know they're just very much with you?
So at the beginning, they let me know that they were just with me. They didn't say anything. It wasn't until after I went through the tunnel of light and it was when they spoke to me. And of course, it was telepathic, but the the beings of light it was surprising to me because they weren't shaped like people. They were shaped like stick figures. They had these solid black, they were so beautiful, but they had these solid black cores and then they radiated or emanated or flickered this beautiful white light all around them. So they were just like full of light. And so they were very intelligent and they were just like moving like this, like very almost like robotic, but not in that way, not
Yeah.
in a weird way, but they were just glowing with light. And yeah, so to answer your question, it wasn't until later that they actually spoke to me.
Okay. So what happened after? Like when you saw
So
like
so
yeah.
what so once so once I saw the people, the victims who died, once I saw them transition into the light, then that's when I started floating into the light. And I was at this point I was like I was thinking to myself, this is so weird. I'm supposed to be having surgery, but here I am. I'm out of my body. I'm just consciousness, which didn't feel any weird. It felt natural to me. It wasn't there was nothing weird about it. It was almost like it's almost like you're still in your body and you're just walking around and seeing things, but you don't have a body this time. It's just weird. It's very hard to explain. But I started going through the tunnel of light. It was very beautiful. The first thing I noticed was at first it was a slow pace, and I was actually, as I was going through the tunnel of light, when I looked below me, there were these beautiful landscapes, these beautiful mountains, and there was beautiful fields of flowers, and all the colors were just beautiful, just bursting and just glowing. And I was so awestruck by what I was seeing, and I had never j just the colors, everything was so real. It was more real than what you see here. I mean, the colors here are so dull compared to what the colors are, what I saw. And so anyway, so I never saw anyone. I didn't see buildings or anything. It was just the most beautiful, just jaw-dropping landscapes and mountains and streams and water and all that stuff. And so I saw those, and then right away, like at one point, this is what's really weird. At one point I actually ended up getting sucked up into space, and the it felt like a roller coaster, and it felt like if you're on a roller coaster and you're going up, and then once the roller coaster goes down, you feel that
Yeah. You can
that
feel
weird
it. Yeah.
sensation in your stomach. Yeah, I felt that, and but I wasn't afraid. I wasn't even I wasn't scared. It wasn't bothering me, but I was just like it was taking my breath away how fast I was going. And I was just it was almost like someone took a straw, and I'm an ant, and they just sucked me up in the straw. It was so fast. And I ended up going into space, and I was flying through these galaxies, and when I would fly through these clusters of galaxies, they would just burst with bright colors and whites and reds and greens and blues, and I mean it was just incredible, the speed and just the stars and I kept going through these galaxies, and I was just in awe, and then I ended up in this what I could describe as a room, but it wasn't a room in the sense of like four walls. Like there were no walls. It was just like we were just existing, we were just there. And there was mist all around me, so it was like a room basically surrounded by mist, or that's the best way I can describe it. And then that's when the light beings, the three of them, they were there again with me. And that's when they said, it's your time to go back, but before you go back, you can ask us one question. And so I sat there, and my personality is still intact. I'm still Josh, So I'm still aware, very much aware that, I'm out of my body. And I said, you know what? I've suffered with depression my whole life, and of course this was telepathic, so it was not verbal. But I've suffered with depression my whole life, and I've always grappled with the meaning of life and what it all means and why I'm here. And I've always felt like everything's pointless, right? So I asked them, what's the meaning of life? And then that's when they touched my shoulder. One of them touched my shoulder, and then when they touched my shoulder, that's when my whole body was it felt like I was being electrocuted. I had like just 100 zillion volts of electricity going through me, and it didn't hurt. It was like a vibration sensation, but also like it was electrical. And when they touched me, that's this is the part that's really hard for me to explain. So I apologize if
No,
I don't explain
tell
it
it
too
as
well, but
is. Yeah.
okay, when they touched me, I basically received it was like cosmic consciousness or
Mhm.
omniscience. I just knew everything. So I was as I was being electrified, and I understood everything. I understood the meaning of life. I understood why everything exists. I understood that everything happens for a reason, that there is no coincidences. I understood the purpose of everything, both living and even objects that aren't living. I understood everything. It was the strangest sensation, the strangest feeling, but I knew everything, and I was at peace. And I also understood that there is no such thing as evil. And I know that that sounds cliche to say, and I know that's gonna make a lot of people upset. But I was basically seeing everything from a bird's eye perspective, basically, and I saw everything. It all made sense, even evil made sense. And maybe I think maybe you might understand what I'm saying here,
Yeah.
but um, it all made sense, and it was very healing. And I was like, oh, as I was experiencing it, as I was experiencing the cosmic consciousness, I was like in my head, I was thinking, oh, okay, that makes sense. And like, oh my God, like I didn't know that, like that, it all makes sense now. Like it took my depression away, it took
Yeah.
everything away. Um, but the one thing I wasn't allowed to take back with me when I went back into my body was I wasn't allowed to take that knowledge back with me. I was only allowed to basically remember it, but I wasn't allowed to take it back. And there's a good reason why. And the reason
Yeah.
why is
Yeah.
because as human beings, if we were all functioning under cosmic consciousness, there really would be no point in our lives because we're here to learn lessons and to grow and
Yeah.
to experience pain, So I understood that a lot of people ask me, well, why, if you experience that, why are you depressed? So, and I always tell them because, first of all, I couldn't take that knowledge back with me. And second of all, even though I know that I know the meaning of life, I understand it. Um, I still have to experience depression. It's just part of my life chart. I believe, and I just have to experience it. And I hope that makes sense to you. I hope I wasn't
It
too
100%,
too
like 100%, and as you start healing, your power comes back,
right,
and it's like, the depression, people are going to be more drawn to you that are depressed as well. And
right.
they're going to be like, you know what, this guy understands. Because some people, they're like, you know what, I have a depression problem. Oh, just get over it, or just go this. Or I've seen that. I even had somebody told their daughter, oh, you're going to have to get over it. She committed suicide. So
Sorry to hear
yeah, that's a
that. And
different story, but you see what I mean?
right, if I could say, do you mind if I interject here?
Oh, of course, yes, of
Um,
course.
so one thing about suicide is I know there's a huge stigma about talking about it, but uh, one thing about suicide is that you hear a lot of people say that, oh, you're gonna go to hell if you kill yourself. And one thing I learned about I'm a survivor of suicide myself. I actually attempted suicide many years ago, and I survived it. I shouldn't have, but I did. Um, but one thing I want to say is that and even if you're gay, or if you're queer or whatever, or trans, it doesn't matter. But um, it doesn't matter if you commit suicide or if you're gay or trans or whatever. Everybody makes it to the other side, and there
Yeah,
is no judgment. And I just want people to know that rather if someone commits suicide, just know that they're at peace and that they are on the other side. That there is no such thing as I don't believe this. There is no such thing as judgment. And it's really important for people to know that, especially people who've lost someone to suicide. you know, and I've had it, I know you've had a near-death experience, you've had more than me, but my near-death experience taught me that or showed me that. So I really feel like that it's important to bring that up because, um, you know, people who are depressed and suicidal, you know, they just need support and love. They
Yeah,
don't need judgment,
100%.
you know,
I,
they don't
I
need the
always
judgment.
tell people the number one, and I say it in all of my videos pretty much. It's like the number one law of the universe is do not judge. You truly
Exactly.
don't know what someone is going through or what somebody has gone through.
Uh, exactly.
You know, it's you got to show more compassion and kindness towards other because you know somebody can put a smile on their face, but yet in the back of their mind they can end it at any time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm wearing my hat that I'm wearing. I'm wearing it the other way, but I don't know if you know of the semicolon or if you know that that's the semicolon is the represents mental health awareness. I don't know if you knew that or not, but anyway, so the semicolon represents uh um it basically it's awareness. It raises awareness basically. And so when people ask me, oh, why do you have a semicolon on your hat? Then I get to talk to them about awareness about mental health. So I always wear this hat because of that, and because I survived suicide myself. So I wear it proudly, you know.
Yeah,
Proud.
100%.
I wear that badge, you know.
But look how people, you know, that's the thing. You know, like your experience, of course, was to help others, you know, and yourself to understanding life more. So if there was somebody that was really suicidal and they reached out to you, well,
Mhm.
you are going to be able to help that person because you get it. You've been there. So you, and that's another reason why I wanted to interview you, you know, because I read people, right? You know, I mean, I look at you as, you know, especially because of your experience even more, you have that gift of healing others now.
Okay.
That's
I
how I see you, you know, in many different ways. So if I was really suicidal or depressed and I called you or went to see you, by the time I left speaking with you, I would be feeling, wow, I
yeah.
feel so much better. So your work and your journey is now beginning, you know, in a different phase now of your true purpose and calling. You'll see that more. Like you'll see that more.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I totally agree with you, and even doors started just recently. You know, doors are opening for me, and
Yeah.
by that I mean like the fact that I had somebody I just made a comment one day on a near death experience post and then before I knew it I had a podcaster you know reaching out to me and wanting to interview me and I when I saw that at first I was scared and I didn't respond and I waited about a month to respond and then I responded but anyway, long story short, I looked at that as a door and an opening for me. And so I just did the podcast interview, and I was proud of myself. And then before I knew it, I started having more people reaching out to me and wanting to interview me. And then I was like, okay, I need to really write my book. So like I've had so many doors opening for me, and I think now is the time. You know, it's obvious that something's happening in my life. I don't know all the details yet. I'm a little bit I'm not sure what's going on. I'm unemployed. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm scared. But at the same
Don't
time,
be
I'm being told,
scared, right? Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Live in the light,
scared.
right?
Yes, of course, yeah. And um, so like I mean I'm a little bit scared because of money, but at the same time, I had this intuitive there's something intuitive that's telling me that just trust the process, like you just said, and just when the doors open, just walk through them, even if it feels like
Yes.
it's not gonna work out, just walk through it. And I'm doing all that now. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
something works out better. You know, something I'm hoping everything comes together like I
It
planned.
is, you know, that this is the year for it of all years, you know, and it's like that's why I said you're stepping into a brand new cycle, a brand new beginning for you, you know, to get your word out there, to get yourself out there, you know, to
Yeah.
truly do your work now, you know, even more profoundly. I mean, I'm 100% self-employed. I wake up every day, you know, it's going to be an awesome day. It's going to be a good day. You know, we all have our good and bad days, and I surrender it. I just surrender it, you know, everything's all going to work out. Trust in the faith. You know, as you know, I channel with the Christ consciousness, and I'm like, you know what? I'm surrendering the situation completely and utterly up to you. And I have seen miracles beyond miracles beyond miracles of different things. When you had your experience, like, did you tell your partner about it? Like, was your partner supportive, or did you like,
Good question. I'm so glad you asked. That's a good question. No, I didn't,
you
and
didn't? Oh,
I did not. And if people, if you knew, like, if you were like a bug, if you were a fly in the wall and you saw our the way our relationship works, you would understand why. But I did not, and the reason why was because um, I don't feel like I at this point I can approach him with that. He's never asked me. He knows that I'm writing a book about my near-death experience, and
yeah,
he's aware of it. But I'm kind of waiting for him to ask me, and he never
yeah,
has. And
yeah.
I don't want to go to him and say, hey, can I talk to you about this? Because I'm worried that I might be met with skepticism, and I don't need that anymore.
No,
So
no,
no, I have not, but I'm hoping one day maybe when my book comes out, he'll I can tell him about it. I've told strangers about it, and I've had people say to me, oh well. Oh yeah, let me listen to your story. And then when I tell my story about my near death experience, then they will say stuff like, "Well, were you on drugs when it happened?" I'm like, "No."
no.
So they say all these weird things, but no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So I have not, and I wish I can, but I just like I can't right now at this point.
No, I get it. Like I get it. You know, even all of my life experiences, I don't
Really.
share a lot because people wouldn't believe me what I actually see and what I
Yeah,
actually experience. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I get that. And it's just certain people that you have that you can truly open up to, that you can
mm,
trust, right?
yes.
Like I have a friend, just for an example, and because I also do past life Akashic records, and every now and then and you did this to me in a past life, and he goes, easy, this
Yeah,
was a long time ago, right?
yeah,
So I get that, but it's like you'll attract a tribe even more now, right? And I
yeah,
mean, my attitude's always been, this is me, take it or leave it. I'm not going to change for anybody. You have to be
yeah,
authentic. You have to be yourself, because if not, you know, you got to keep it real. So
yeah.
I get it, but you'll get out there and your partner will be like, wait a minute, like what? Yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
I would surrender it, like,
yeah,
because I'll surrender things for my highest purpose and higher self. If this is the true path for me, it's going to naturally happen. And I don't think anything more of it. We all have fears, and even though I've had many near death experiences, I still have fears as well too. I jump into the
yeah,
unknown, I take risks at times, and I'm like, well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think I'm glad you mentioned that. I think it's important that people because a lot of people I've had from my experience so far, a lot of people seem to think that if you when you have a near-death experience, it's going to make you into a Superman or a superhero, that you're not going to have any more problems in life, and that's not true. A near-death experience, although they're deeply personal, they don't when you come back to your life. Of course, they're transformative. I mean, it changed many things about me. There was a lot of side effects to my near-death experience. But I'm not a superhero. I still struggle with I still struggle in life, and that's important for people to know. And that a near-death experience does not erase what you're meant to go through in life. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, even with my near death experience, the big one I had,
Hmm.
I mean, like, even what I was told, by Christ, he's right. He's right. And at times when certain things happen, I'm like, he's right.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so it makes you think, but then it's like, you see things different. Like I
Yes.
observe so much and I don't say anything.
Yes. So when I have after my near death experience, the one thing that I did that I was allowed to take with me was I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I
Yeah,
don't fear
either am
death.
I. Yeah,
The only thing I fear about death is how I'm gonna die. Is it gonna hurt? That's my fear, of course.
yeah,
But and a lot of people are very my twin brother, for example, he's very envious of me because he's like, "You're not afraid of dying anymore." I'm like, "No, it took my fear of death away." He's like, well, I want to have a near-death experience. I'm like, well,
Oh God.
be careful with what you wish for,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
but yeah, it took away my fear. It took my fear of death away, what's weird, really weird is that 2 weeks after my near-death experience, I experienced when I went to bed and I experienced another download, another cosmic consciousness
Okay.
download. Um, it was yeah, it was I didn't see the light beams. It was just a download again. And then after that, I never had I never had the download ever since then. Ever for about 10 years now. Almost 10 years. Um, yeah. So there's so the biggest side effect of my sorry, the biggest side effect of my near death experience is the fact that I'm not afraid of dying anymore. And that's such a profound gift. It's just an amazing gift to have, to know to have to feel that because it makes dying a little bit less scary when
Yeah.
when you're not afraid of it,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, exactly. We can have different, we can go see our doctor. You're at stage 4 or whatever, and it's normal to go into fear and everything like that. But I mean, even when I worked at the hospice, I worked there on call for on many, many years. I found what I found with the patients was it was harder for them to leave their family behind,
Yes.
meaning how are they going to get through this? Are they going to be okay? More so than whenever they pass on, because when you're at that stage, you're in and out of the spirit world, I just call it anyway. So you're communicating and seeing a lot and everything, and that. So if somebody says to you, you know what, if if somebody says, I'm going to commit suicide, let's say, tell me one reason why I shouldn't. What would you tell them?
Oh, if they're gonna commit suicide?
Yeah, and if they came to you,
Oh,
and they said, and no matter what you said, if they say give, and they're like, you know what, give me one reason why I shouldn't. Like, what would you
that,
say?
that's a tough one because
Yeah,
um that's a really hard one. Because
yeah,
it's so hard. It's so hard to convince when you're. I understand the mindset of a suicidal person because I was there. But when you're in that mind frame, it's so hard to convince that person that things will get better. Um, but
yeah,
actually what I would say, and this might, I, what I would actually say is I would actually I would actually share it with them my near death experience.
yes, exactly.
That's what I
See,
would do. And some people might say, well, don't do that because if you shared your near death experience, they might be tempted even more to go into the light, because you just talked about this amazing experience. But I don't believe we're human beings. We're naturally wired to survive. So I believe that if someone came to me and who was suicidal and I shared with them my story, I believe that that would be healing, and I think that's what I would do actually. I would do that, and does that sound
yeah, a
contrary
hundred
to like
percent.
okay
Yeah, a
yeah
hundred percent. Because all
okay
situations are very different. Like I deal with
right
suicides myself and stuff, and all situations are different. You know
right
what I mean? Of course, but you know, with someone such as yourself too, it's like even if somebody was, you talk to certain people, let's say, and you will, right? I do
yeah
see that, but you will, like some people that are like, let's say in the hospice that aren't leaving, it's just a matter of time, realistically,
mm,
for them to pass. For them to talk to you, it would give them more peace. You know what I mean? It really
yeah
would, especially in today's society when a lot of people are leaving, because we do have to watch our thoughts.
yes yes
Like we do have to watch our thoughts, because if we're like, you know what, I'm so ready to go and I hate this world, you'll be
mhm,
surprised because certain things come up, and then why did I get sick? Why did this happen? And why did that happen?
yes yes. One thing So one thing about me though that's different from what I've heard a lot of people say is that when I had my own near death experience, I actually didn't want to go back I didn't want to go back to life. I actually wanted to stay. And a lot of people I know a lot of people say that they wanted to go back, but um for me I was like I've suffered with depression since I was 9 years old. I've suffered with anxiety. I've suffered with I mean it's very debilitating. I've suffered, with suicidal thoughts, or suicidality. I can't
Yeah.
say that word. Sorry. Um, but I suffer with that. I've suffered with that for so many years. I have PTSD, and in my mind, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to. Not that life isn't beautiful, but I don't want to go back. I want to stay here because if I go back, that means I'm gonna go back to all my suffering again.
Yeah,
Um, but I knew that I had to go back because I knew that this is part of my life experience, my life chart. This is what God or the universe or whatever, even if, let's say I wrote my life chart before I was born. Well, this is what I wrote into it. This is the plan, and I have to go through, I have to experience it for reasons I don't understand why. So
yes.
yeah, so usually when I say that, some people get upset, and I'm not trying to upset anyone, but that people
No,
get
no,
upset when I
no,
say
no, no, and not no. But everybody sees things out of their own perspective, anyways, no
right,
matter what is said. Bottom line,
right.
like your story will help other people and like in a really big way. Because sometimes we don't realize the effect we have on other people until all of a sudden somebody says something. Oh, wow, Joshua, like you really helped me. I was about ready to do myself in and I caught that interview or anything like that, and you don't realize it. And then until somebody says something to you one day and you're like, wow, I didn't realize I had an effect like that because it's natural. You're being who you are, you're being authentic. That's all that matters.
Hmm.
That's why I said to people, keep it real, just be yourself. The right people will find you, and the ones that judge you or treat you like crap, they can walk in the opposite direction. I'm walking towards
Yeah,
the light in
yes,
a positive way, right?
yeah, yes, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, so and just one more thing, back to the when you asked me what would I say if someone said they were committing suicide. And another thing I wanted to say is that obviously I would share my story with them, I know that experience, but I would also just tell them that I know life is rough, it's tough, it's difficult, I understand that, but I'm in the same boat as you are. Like we got to keep going. We let's go. Let's just keep plugging away. It's like soldiers on the battlefield.
yeah.
I know it hurts. We've probably been shot at many times, or we might have, we have bullet wounds in us. But my to them, we have to keep. I'm getting goosebumps by saying this, but we have to keep going. This is go because when we get to the end of our lives, you're going to be so happy that you didn't do this. You're going to be amazed of, you're going to be, you'll be happy that you did not commit suicide because you understand,
Yeah,
you'll understand once you get to that point. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying or not. I'm
I
feel
do,
like I'm
100%,
garbled.
a
Okay.
100%. I get it.
Okay. Good.
You know, So what is your definition of God? Like especially
Um,
like your experience.
okay, so this is the weird thing is that a lot of people expect me a lot of near-death experiences include God. I never saw God in my near-death experience. I just saw beings of light. But my I'm right now when it comes to God, I'm taking more of an agnostic approach. I'm not atheist, but I don't know if you understand agnosticism because a lot of people don't, but I'm very agnostic about that. But as of right now, when I think of God, I just think of God as the spark that started the Big Bang that created everything, like the spark.
Yeah,
So whatever, I know science tells us that that there was a Big Bang, there was a spark and a Big Bang, and that everything went into existence after that. Um, so whatever that spark was, to me, that's God. But I don't know if it's like is God conscious? Conscious? Is God just is he unconscious or like I have all
yeah,
these thoughts and I don't know who he is and I say he because that's the way I understand him, but
yeah,
um or you could say she if you want, but I don't understand it. God,
yeah,
yeah. And my near death experience, it wasn't meant to understand God, it was meant for personal healing,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't know about, but I don't know. You might. I know everyone has their thoughts, but I'm struggling with that right now. Actually, I'll be honest,
yeah,
raw. I don't
yeah,
know what God is yet.
yeah. I mean, like, like the reality is, once until we're officially passed,
Hmm.
we're not going to know. But I mean, like for me, I believe God is within all of us.
Hmm.
Anywhere.
Yeah,
God is everywhere. It's not like he's thousands or millions of miles away. He's
yeah,
everywhere around us. Like, it's like, go to the ocean. I'll be like, wow, like that's God right there.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, beautiful cloud formations. That's God right there. And energy, I mean, so in certain religions and cultures, they'll be looking to see like Buddha or Allah or,
Yeah.
like no matter
Jesus.
who it is. Yeah, right. So, eh, it's their consciousness where they are. I mean, I channel work with the Christ consciousness, Buddha plane, and so many other different things that I couldn't even go on talking about what I hear and what I see because it's 24/7.
Yeah.
Energy is energy, and look at all the miracles in the world that can happen. And wow, I was driving down the highway and there was like, like a 50-car pileup, but yet I went right through it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just certain events,
Yes.
energy is energy. So
Yeah, I was I just struggle with that concept. I mean I understand that he's everywhere, but like my analytic brain is like, okay, well how like it like I'm trying to I want to have like something physical to grab onto, and I just don't have that. So,
no, you won't,
you know,
not consciousness.
yeah, and I'm not there yet with quite understanding what God is, and I hope one day I do, I really do, is I really want to understand. That's one thing I just don't understand, and I hope one day I can, maybe one day the light beings will come back to me and they'll download, something
Ask
about
them
God
to.
or something.
Ask them
Okay,
to.
I'll ask.
Ask them to,
I
like,
never thought.
yeah, like it's like, I mean, I see things on many different ways myself, but let's say if I wanted to, like I'll ask for signs, let's say, certain things. I say, you know what, I want a sign right now. Like I get very demanding because they know how I am, right? Like I'll
Yeah.
be like, listen, like I
Yeah.
want a physical sign, like a physical
Yes.
sign for whatever question I have, and then
Uh-huh.
and then I surrender it. So I just to give you one example out of many, my passport was lost like for months, and I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't get
Oh,
through. Like it's like you're like 700 person on hold, right? And I'm sitting back thinking,
yeah.
oh my God, like so. I'm like, give me a sign, like a physical sign. Like, is it lost? Do I? And then I heard like knocking on my cupboards. I was in my kitchen, like this, and knock, knock, knock type thing, and it wasn't my door, and I'm like, okay, right. So the
Yeah. Yeah.
next day, I was making, like coffee, and kind of getting on with my day. Knock, knock, knock at my door, and it was my day. It was the mail guy, the courier. Here's your passport.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right? Like that,
Wow.
that's,
Yes.
one sign. So I will say, give me a physical sign for the love of God. And I swear, I cast the universe, right? I do. I'm like, okay, I get it. Sorry, all right.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll ask. I'll if I can't read into it or whatever it is, I will say I want a physical sign, and
Yes. My,
for
yeah.
different reasons. So you can do
Yeah.
that. Get into
Yeah.
the habit of that and surrender. Don't go looking. Oh my God, where is the sign? Don't do that. I just send it out there, surrender it, and then I get on with my day. I usually get signs right away, because
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm not waiting here. I got time, but
Yeah.
I have no, force over that. But
Yeah, yeah, my signs come the signs I get, so my dad, he died at 1:36 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's amazing how even when I'm not asking for signs, I see 136 everywhere. Like I'm always seeing 136. So when I see 136 on a license plate or on a billboard or a
yeah,
commercial or a receipt, I mean
yeah,
it could be anywhere. I know it's him saying hello, and I don't understand why I get signs through numbers. Even when I'm about to go somewhere or about to travel and I'm not aware of it, I'll start seeing on the clock 7:27, 7:37. I'll start seeing those numbers, and I don't know if you're aware of what that means. That 7:27 or 7:37, that's Boeing. That's a plane, like
wow,
Boeing
oh wow,
727. So
wow.
I get, yeah. So and I've been getting those signs a lot lately. So I know that I'm going to be traveling somewhere, but I don't know yet. But every time I see that and I get those signs, it never fails. I always end
It's
up,
going to be important travels.
yeah, yeah. Port travel always comes up. So they use numbers like for
Yeah.
me, and I'm terrible with math. So it's kind of almost comical or funny that they would use numbers to to uh to reach me because I suck at math. So it's just funny
Yeah.
how that works
Yeah.
through
No,
numbers.
we all have different numbers. Like I have a specific number. Like I see all different numbers, of course, but I have a specific number I get. you
Yeah.
know, and it just resonates with me. It's not like it's not like an average 111. No, no, no. This is a very specific number,
Uh-huh.
and it's very specific. So
Yeah.
it's like certain numbers. Yeah, that's the spirit world. Could be anyone who's passed on your spirit guides. It could be anybody
Yeah.
with that, but especially for you, the Boeing 727,
Yeah.
you know what I
Definitely.
mean? Look at the 9/11 victims, look at your near death. So that's an
Yeah.
experience. That's a major, huge, powerful, profound experience. So
Yes.
there's more to it with that, right? So
Right.
it's our spirit guides give us all kinds of message at, at all times. If we're open to receive, if we're open to, see messages and everything like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's awesome. I love that. So now you're creating or you've been writing a book
Yes.
um as well. So and just to let you all know that when Joshua's book comes up, I'm going to be interviewing him again. So there's certain questions I held back on purpose from asking you because I
Okay.
already know what I want to ask you in your book anyways, right?
Okay.
Right. Um, so can you just give us a little bit of like insight, just a little bit of a teaser about your book, not all
Oh,
details. We want to leave
yes.
people in suspense.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously, my it's a memoir. It's a deeply personal memoir about my near-death experience. So, I know that everyone's just heard that, but the book doesn't just talk about that. As a teaser, I could say, it also goes into details about my childhood, about
Yeah,
how I would see, I would see ghosts and spirits, throughout my life. And so I do discuss that, and there's, you'll be amazed. I hope you'll be amazed at some of the stories that I have to tell you, some of my ghost stories, or spirit stories, and that's what I'm excited for people to know. And so I won't disclose any of that, but my book talks about that. And so if you're interested in knowing more about my life and my all my spirit stories, and by all means please read it. And my biggest hope is that people find healing from it. That there's something that they can grasp from it and take home with them.
yeah, 100% they will.
And it,
That's why I'm like, we'll be
yeah,
talking again on that.
and it's called Between Breaths. That's my title, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm super excited, really excited. And again, like I said, my biggest goal, it's not about money, it's not about any of that. It's just really, it's all about, I want to
Yeah,
make sure I reach people and inspire people, and I reach people who are hurting. I really want to heal people through this book.
yeah, 100%. There's, I believe it's like, even when I do readings and even my work and such, I always surrender it, and I'm like, what, the right people will come to me. I
Yes,
don't go looking. I surrender it. The right people will come to me and everything. And
yes,
like and people will find your book. They will, have you back on here too and everything. But it's like it will really get out there. All it takes is sometimes one word, one sentence, one paragraph,
yes.
one story to change somebody's life.
Yes, and that happened to me. I've read books in the past I would get to the very end, and then I would read some like it just like a sentence or something, and then it just changed everything.
Yeah,
So like yeah, so but you might not get everything, you might not get everything out of it, but if you get at least one thing out of it, it's worth it.
100%, 100%. And that's why everybody has their own experience and journey to share,
Mhm.
and it will really touch people's hearts in a really
I hope
good,
so.
and
I hope so.
especially nowadays, we have to show more compassion and kindness towards others.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes. Yeah. The
Yeah,
world is the world is lack. I mean, there's a lot of good people in the world, but it's really lacking a lot of there's a lot of it's just there's a lot of angry disturbed people in the world,
yeah,
and it's just sad, that it's
yeah,
come to that.
yeah, 100%. And it's, like I'll always surround myself with, people that are more positive and everything like that. And,
Mhm.
stay away from ignorance and arrogance and just a lot of different things. I mean, we're always going to interact with other people anyways, regardless of who they are, but it's how we handle it. It's how I don't interact with that personally myself. I'll just be
Mhm.
like, wow, thank you. That was very much an eye opener for me, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
but thank you, Joshua. You know, like we're coming to an end. Like I said, like you guys, I seriously could talk to Joshua for hours and hours and hours, you know, and
Yeah.
we're gonna go into so much more that I would have liked to have talked about, but you know, we don't want like a 10-hour interview, right? So we
Yeah.
can do segments, right? But yeah, so you know, so Joshua, if somebody's like, wow, how do I get a hold of Joshua? What is the best way for somebody to say, hey, where is he?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So the best way to reach me is I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So if you type in Joshua Damours, you'll find me. You'll see my picture. You'll know. There's not a lot of people who have my last name, so I'm easy to find. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, you can instant message me as well, because I have received a lot of messages that way. So you can just reach me that way. And if you reach me, I'm always happy to talk to you, and to answer any questions that you might have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Stay tuned for Joshua's book coming out. I mean, I'm really excited about it myself,
Thank you.
you know, and I want to thank everyone who's tuned in to Soul Connections with Jeni Ji. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel in order to get you know, video contact, and you can watch my weekly series, Cosmic Vibes, where I talk about what's going to happen every single day, energy wise, how to work through it, what days are the best to manifest and do all of these things. If you would like to book a reading with me, soulworkwithjennig.com. And don't forget, if you have a story you want to share with me, send me a message through my website. If you do send it through on social media, and if I don't get it, you know, messages can get lost. Facebook pulls it back, and you know, Instagram as well sometimes. So thank you again, Joshua. I'm so grateful for taking time, and you know, and I mean, like, for you taking time to speak with me today. I was really, really excited to chat with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored that I'm on here and I'm able to talk to you and to reach out to our to your guests. So thank you so much. I'm so honored, so privileged.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next interview.